Lavia done. Elise done. Caicedo through the door. Close to £1 billion invested by Todd Boehly and Clearlake since they took over the ownership of Chelsea Football Club from Roman Abramovich. A terrible first campaign. No trophies, no European football, a 12th place position, the worst season for Chelsea in a 30-year period. And with the standards set under Roman Abramovich, rivals were very quick to write them off. Believe that Chelsea had paled into insignificance. But with the signings they have got, the manager that they have employed, and the ambition of the football club, they 110% scare me. As a rival, the way Chelsea are moving is chilling. To my bones, it worries me. Maybe not in the short term, but so often in football when fans talk, everything is about short-termism. In the short term, how do I feel? In the short term, is my team ahead of you? In the short term, who's the best team in England? We very rarely exercise our brains and think outside of this next season ahead. I've been talking about Chelsea for about 4 or 5 years and said the same thing. The one element of Roman Abramovich that he got horrendously wrong was they didn't create. They had the standards and they invested the money. But what they didn't have to underpin that was a brand of football, a philosophy at grassroots level that transcended all the way through to the first team. And for the first decade of Roman, they didn't need it per se. They were the richest club in the world. There wasn't any FFP. They could essentially spend their way to success, bring in the best managers possible and buy the best players possible. And they had an amazing core that was built in that early stage of Cech and Terry, Cole, Lampard, Drogba, to name just a few. And they added to that core over the course of time. But in the last decade, when FFP has come into the game, so you cannot spend willy-nilly, when the new TV deal money came in and the money in football increased, other clubs were able to compete financially with Chelsea. Plus, you've had the emergence of the Newcastles, of course, Man City's, PSG's, and much, much more. So their ability to outspend the majority of their English counterparts and European rivals became ever more increasingly difficult. Even though Chelsea won a Champions League in the latter years of Roman's era, most Chelsea fans worth their salt will tell you that it's papering over real, genuine cracks at the football club. Todd Boehly and Clearlake, as I've already mentioned at the top of this video, have made some big mistakes. But when you look at this Chelsea team, and I just want to go through the players they have purchased in the last players that I think are going to transform their team. They have brought into their football club Badiashile, Mykhailo Mudryk, Enzo Fernandez, Fofana, Wesley Fofana. I then keep looking at this list and I think Caicedo and Kunku, Jackson, Angelo looks very, very good indeed. Of course, they've got Lavia on the way, Elise. They may need a star striker, but you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to buy one. So maybe, and if you're a City fan watching this, you probably don't have the same worries that I do. My fear stems from the fact that Chelsea's owners are more ambitious and will spend more to win on the football pitch than my club will. Man United spend money, but there comes a point where if it doesn't work, they don't keep going, they pull back. Then we spend big later. My club also has big debts. My club also pays dividends to the owners. My club also has a lot of commitments away from the football pitch where we spend our money. Liverpool, just look what's happened this summer. You should be quaking in your boots. Spurs, again, they're probably not scared of Chelsea because they know they can't compete with them and they've already realized that. Newcastle fans, they know what they're creating. It's something similar. They're years behind being where Chelsea are in terms of the status in the game. They're a better team than Chelsea last season, but that doesn't undo 20 years of work. City, as I mentioned, they won't be bothered. City are absolutely fine. They will not care. And I get and understand and respect it. And Arsenal fans, I wouldn't necessarily say you are fearful of Chelsea because of where you are right now, but you're definitely frustrated that they haven't sunk away in the darkness of the night after coming 12th last year. They are fighting hard to come back. And the big question is, what will they do this season? And I've seen a lot of people talk about this. I want to give some background. What is a good season? Now, you've got the League Gunners of this world, who, I've got respect for him, but just believe if you haven't won the league, you're a loser. And again, in the short term, I agree. I agree that if you come third, you didn't win the league, you could say you're a loser. But most football fans understand the idea of trajectory, progression, and moving forward. And I think that's one of the most important things for Chelsea this season is major progression. Not going from 12th to 8th, competing for those Champions League spots. In fact, after picking up two of the best young midfielders in the world, in Lavia and Caicedo, adding Elise to what they already have with their manager, Champions League qualification is a bare minimum this season now for Chelsea. And because of the fact they've got no European football, I think they have to aim to win one of the domestic trophies in England. They can throw all their eggs into those baskets because they're still only really going to be playing one game a week. I think they have the capabilities and the strength in their squad to do that. And if they pull that off, if Poch can win a trophy in England with Chelsea year one, it sort of gets the monkey off his back. It removes that pressure and that question of can Poch win in England? I think that'll inject a newfound sense of confidence into him and into his players. So I don't think it's Chelsea fans lowering the standards to not expect to win the Premier League this year. What they should be expecting is over the next 12, 18, 24 months, they become genuine title contenders with the ability of winning the league because they haven't been there for 7 years. And it's going to take time to develop that mentality, that experience, again, of challenging for titles. Experience is a hard thing to buy because even if you buy a player that have had that experience, they haven't had it together with that manager at that club. Experience is earned. And this is about Chelsea now following through with one of their early promises under Todd Boehly, that they will give a manager time. Now, that only works if progression is seen. You can't give a manager continual time if you're standing still or going backwards. So again, let's not be polarized in our opinions here. Let's think sensibly when it comes to assessing the situation. But Chelsea are going nowhere. Chelsea are going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the Premier League this season. The game against Liverpool, for me, was already an indicator. Now, I know what some of the haters in the comments will say. Every time they don't win a game, oh, Terry, you're scared. They did it all of last year when they were falling backwards. And I've never yielded for a second away from my belief that Todd Boehly and Clearlake will get it right at Chelsea. And if Chelsea keep spending like they are and investing and improving that squad, if they create a sustainable, long-term philosophy of football at the club, which the players match, and they hire managers who coach and conduct their football in the ballpark of that philosophy, Chelsea are going to be a dangerous team for the weeks, months, years, and decades that follow. Why? Because the models are already out there for us to see. Imagine Ajax or Dortmund with the same money as Chelsea. When massive clubs with huge money are run well, have a brilliant philosophy, and hire the right coaches and managers to bring that together, they're always potent. They can have a bad year. They can go for a poor period, but they are always in and around the mix. Just look at Barcelona. They're not in their best state, but they're still able to win league titles. They're still looked at as one of the best teams in Europe. Maybe not the pick of the bunch, but there or thereabouts. And at some point soon, especially when their financial situation resolves itself, they'll fix up. And that's the biggest thing holding some of the Spanish and Italian clubs back, is they don't have the money that the Premier League teams have. Chelsea this season are dangerous. Chelsea this season are going to be potent. And they are back. They are back to being one of the best teams in England. And give them a year or so, some more development, these younger players start to mature, and they will be back fighting for Premier Leagues. I am absolutely 100% sure of it. It's going to be an amazing season ahead. Chelsea are getting themselves prepared. And the scary thing is, the scary, sobering thought for me as a rival is Chelsea are only just getting started. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace.